All right, I'm here with Democratic congressional candidate for Colorado's 3rd District, Alex Kelloff. We were having a conversation earlier, and we wanted to extend this conversation. We're here as there's an ongoing government shutdown, and it's interesting to bring in your perspective because you are running to give Colorado's 3rd District a change. Right now, Republican Congressman Jeff Hurd in his first term in Congress, and you think that a Democrat needs to take that seat. Can you tell us more about that?
My family's history in this district goes back to the 1890s. They came to the district, like many families at the time, actually to dig coal. And then they became small business people across southern and western Colorado. What I'm really looking to do is bring small business values back to the district. And I think we also need to continue to make the investments in our community that we've done for generations. Invest in Medicaid, invest in our infrastructure, invest in SNAP assistance. These are investments, and I feel that Republicans are making cuts to these critical investments right now.
Let's talk about the government shutdown for a moment, because this hits home for you.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
My father grew up in the San Luis Valley. He went on to become a cancer researcher for the government at the National Institutes of Health. He's spent over 50 years, his entire career, as a cancer researcher. Cancer doesn't discriminate against Republicans, Democrats, unaffiliated, independents. It affects everyone. And my father is currently furloughed and out of work doing that critical research that he's done for the last 50 plus years.
Okay, both sides are blaming each other for this shutdown. What do you think? What's your response? Who do you think is responsible? Do you think Republicans are responsible? Do you think Democrats are responsible? Or do you think it's a little bit of both?
Well, I think that the Republicans are in power. They control the government. They control the White House. They control the Senate. They control Congress. They control the Office of Management and Budget, who is laying people off. Ultimately, if the Republicans want the government open, they can open it up. So I believe that it's incumbent upon the Republicans, much like Donald Trump said when Joe Biden was president and the government was last shut down, it's up to the president to bring parties together to reopen the government. That's what we need to do.
Are there any concessions that you believe Democrats could make or should make to reopen the government and then start negotiating about health care after that?
I think there's fairly broad common consensus that Americans' health care costs are going to go up significantly in the next weeks and months. And I think Republicans say that as well. So I think there's a simple agreement that Democrats and Republicans need to make to open up the government, which is to extend the health care tax credits beyond when they were due to expire at the end of this year. So I don't think there's a lot to negotiate at the moment. I think it's a simple compromise that benefits all Americans. And I think that should be pretty simple to make to open back up the government.
Colorado's 3rd District has not sent a Democrat to Congress since 2008. For 15 years, there has been a Republican tilt in this district. For the conservative voters and swing voters out there that lean conservative, given that people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are disagreeing with her party right now, what should voters on the Western Slope and in this district, what should that tell them about Republican leadership in Washington right now?
I think there's dire concern about the leadership in Washington right now. Again, the Republicans control the government, the White House, Congress, the Supreme Courts. And people are very discouraged. They're seeing their cost of living go up significantly. That will not be helped by what's going to happen with health care if we don't fix the problem right now over the next few weeks. We have significant Medicaid cuts coming. 30% of residents in Mesa County in particular are benefiting from Medicaid. So I think there's real displeasure with leadership in Washington right now, or lack thereof. And I think the district in particular is ready for change.
The government's going to have to open up again eventually, and concessions are going to have to be made.
Yes.
How will your approach to bipartisanship differ from Congressman Hurd's?
Well, I feel that if you look at what Congressman Hurd said when he was running for office last fall and now coming to office, what he said, in fact, he signed up, I believe he signed 2 letters that said he would never sign on for legislation that would cut Medicaid. And with his critical deciding vote for the One Big Beautiful Bill, he did exactly that. So look, I'm a person who's always comported himself with integrity. I do what I say I will do. And I will work in good faith across the aisle to come up with common sense solutions, particularly where we can find areas of agreement. And I'm going to do what I say I will do. I feel like Congressman Hurd has not lived up to his word in that respect.
Do you have any common sense solutions that you could share with us today?
Well, I think many. I think we need to make the investments in our communities that have over generations shown to be effective. That's things like investing in our rural health care, our rural hospitals that are at risk of closing their doors due to the One Big Beautiful Bill. I think particularly in this district, public lands are critically important, and I was heartened to see that the public land issue was taken out of the One Big Beautiful Bill. But the reality is that the administration is pushing forward to rescind our public lands, sell them off, lease them off to big corporations for their sole benefit. So I think there are many issues where we can find common ground, particularly with the 50% of voters in this district who identify as unaffiliated.
Well, speaking of it was just over 50% of voters who helped Jeff Hurd win this seat.
Yes.
So it's not a margin that's impossible to win. However, given that it has been since 2008, since a Democrat has been sent to Congress from this district, the odds aren't necessarily in your favor either. What is your pitch to conservative or swing voters who don't trust what Democrats are doing in Washington right now?
And look, there is very fair criticism against Democrats in Washington. I will be the first one to say that. I am focused on the issues that I hear about in this district when I'm out on the campaign trail and visiting, all of the towns and cities across the district. I think people are concerned about the cost of living. I'm critically focused on that. People want good jobs. My whole career has been in small business formation and job creation, particularly around building the critical infrastructure that we need. These are the things that I think resonate, even with conservatives, moderates, and clearly Democrats as well in the district. And that's who I plan to speak to.
Do you consider yourself a moderate?
I would say I would say I attack moderate.
The conservative-leaning voters in this district, since they have sent someone to Congress, they have had their pick over the past 15 years.
Yes.
Will you represent their interests in Washington?
Absolutely. Again, my family has been here for generations, over 130 years in the district. Many of these are very conservative areas, particularly where my father grew up in the San Luis Valley, in these areas, southeast Colorado. My mom went to high school in Grand Junction. So more conservative areas. And these are where my roots are from. And these are where my values are derived from these roots. So I do feel that I can reach out across the aisle, speak to conservatives, speak to moderates, speak to those unaffiliated in the district, and understand, again, my family were small business people on both my mother and father's side. I understand the struggles they go through life to put a roof over their head, food on the table. That's becoming more difficult. I understand those issues. I believe I can speak to them and carry their concerns and their interests to Washington.
All right, let's talk about, some voters are just getting to know who you are.
Sure.
And you talked about, your family. I know that you pride yourself in being raised by a family dedicated to hard work, integrity, and public service. And your last name holds some weight in Colorado because Kelloffs are tied to grocery stores, restaurants, movie theaters. What is it about your lived experiences that should convince voters that you can understand the struggles of voters living paycheck to paycheck?
Sure.
People who don't come from families who have, who own businesses, who are struggling every single paycheck to pay the bills.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that affects most Americans, and I've worked hard all my life. I get up every day with a sense of purpose and optimism and go to work hard for my family and to support my family. Having said that, I think the American dream has left people behind in this country. And we need to focus on ensuring that this next generation, the younger people that are in school right now, can pursue that American dream and don't have to struggle day to day to put food on the table and a roof over their head. My father grew up in one of the poorest counties in Colorado, Conejos County. Now, they were successful small business people, but they ensured that they were good stewards of the community. They treated all their neighbors the same. And we need to get back to that. And we need to help one another to succeed and move forward ahead as a country.
Well, thank you for sharing your pitch with us. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate the time.